Welcome to Story Behind a Resume. I'm your host, Abu Saim. For over a decade, I've worked in marketing technologies within the consumer packaged goods and quick service restaurant sectors. I've been privileged to collaborate with many inspiring leaders and have always been fascinated by their unique journeys. Resumes often tell an incomplete story. They highlight the wins, the polished achievements, but what about the obstacles, the setbacks, the detours? These experiences truly define us. That's why I created Story Behind a Resume. I want to delve deeper to uncover the authentic stories behind those perfectly formatted resumes. A career isn't simply a list of jobs, it's an evolving journey of growth, resilience, and self discovery. Each episode, I'll go beyond job titles and explore the pivotal moments that have shaped my guests' careers. I'll uncover valuable lessons, challenges overcome, and the guiding principles that have driven their success. I hope these stories will inspire you, encourage you, and remind you that your career journey is unique and worth celebrating. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the conversation. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Ahmed Mekallach to Story Behind a Resume, episode 7. Ahmed is a process engineer turned digital innovator and a CEO of Myte Group Inc., a company revolutionizing how businesses build and integrate custom technology solutions. With over a decade of experience in the construction industry, spanning roles like field engineer, project manager, and director of estimating, Ahmed has a unique perspective on the complexities of workflows and data silos. Recognizing the limitations of traditional processes, he transformed to tech innovation, blending his real world insights with cutting edge AI. At Myte Group, Ahmed is pioneering tools like Myte Code, a platform that empowers businesses to design custom workflows, streamline operations, and gain full control of their data. His passion lies in creating systems that adapt to people, not the other way around. Ahmed's story is one of transformation, resilience, and a relentless drive to empower others. Let's dive into his journey and learn more about what makes him tick.
Rock and roll. What an
Rock and
intro.
roll. Hi, Ahmed. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Fantastic. How are you, Abu?
I'm good, thank you. I'm going to just give a little bit more overview about how we're going to unpack this show. We're going to explore Ahmed's career journey starting at the very beginning. We'll discover his educational background, what he studied, and what sparked this passion of his for that field. Then we'll trace his first steps into the professional world, his very first job, and the factors that influenced his choice of role and industry. Finally, we'll hear about defining lessons and early career challenges, those crucial experiences that shaped his trajectory. Whether you are a student, a recent graduate, or simply curious about the paths of successful professionals, this conversation offers valuable insights and inspiration. So let's begin. Ahmed, would you please tell us a bit about your educational background for our listeners, and did you become a process and how you became a process engineer?
Okay, so just to clarify, I'm a civil engineer. I say process engineering because once I got into my role after graduating, I've always asked the question, how can I do this more simply? How can I streamline the task that's been given me? And the first role I had was a field clerk where I was inputting timesheets into an Excel file and then sending that Excel file to the accountant back in Quebec. And I was working in Vancouver. Um, and that was the very beginning of when I started to imagine, okay, so how can I connect this data, the time that we're entering, into something I can use, something I can tie maybe to the budget or something that I can
Right.
tie maybe to some forecasting. And that's when I started building out systems just in Excel environments and workbooks,
Wow.
starting with a project management tool that allowed me to schedule my loads, plan out my QA/QC points with the client, track time and cost related to activities and workers, and be able to analyze this and be able to produce reports. So at the end of my first contract, I provided a report of, things I've seen, things I saw that could be better, how much money was spent on things that should not have been spent on, how much money we would have saved if, certain considerations were made before steel was delivered to the site, for example. Some
Right.
of it, people didn't agree. A lot of it, people did agree, and it prompted the president of the company at the time to send a company-wide email saying this is the kind of review that should be done at the end of each of our projects, and we should read this and implement and try and see what should be captured from this. And
Right.
that's where my passion started. Even as a kid, I was always into doing things as quickly as I can. But now in the job field, where especially the construction industry, where things are so archaic in a way, they're more old school. And they have their
Right.
ways of doing things.
Right.
Um, and I was lucky enough to be in a company that gave me the latitude to sort of imagine these systems, build them for myself, and then implement them with the teams and try and copy paste them wherever I went. And that's how I started progressing from field engineer to project engineer to a project manager. And at every step, business development, director of estimating, at every step,
Right.
I would reimagine the entire flow and interconnect them in ways. So the last major role I had was director of estimating, and in there, I
Mhm.
would connect to our steel suppliers, to our
Right.
to our vendors, and see how can I structure my request for proposal for them in a way that would make it as easy as possible for them to provide me an answer, and just streamline that whole flow, that partnership with them, and free up my time, right? My time to be
Yeah.
able to build those relationships.
Wow.
Um, so that's
That's
how
fascinating.
that's
That
how I
that's
got into it.
fascinating. How you became the transformation, throughout the course of your journey, you learned so many new skills, How how did you learn it in your first job? Like, I would like to learn a little bit
So
about
here's that's
more
the
about
thing,
your
right?
first job,
So if we back up 2014,
right?
YouTube was becoming big. So much information was on these videos that people were posting. Of course, there was a lot of things that maybe didn't have value. But
Right.
when it came to coding some VBA macros or understanding the kinds of functions I can use within an Excel workbook to do the things I needed to do and how to tie them all together, the ifs and whens, like a lot of things were able to be done just purely mathematically,
Right.
algorithmically
Yeah.
inside the cells. And so I just learned on YouTube. I learned on YouTube. I would have a problem. I would look at YouTube for certain solutions and how it was implemented for their problem, and then see how can I
Amazing.
adapt that for my situation. And then I would take the time to do it. So I would do my job, which I was paid to do, but on
Hmm.
the side, because it's just something I like having fun with, and it would make my job and my life easier. I had also built out these flows or these pipelines, you can say, of
Right.
handling data and producing the output of work I needed to output.
Amazing. No,
Yeah.
that's really fascinating. And first job always is significant in anyone's career, whether it's positive or negative. And yours it sounds amazing because you are also training yourself. You got that nag of teaching yourself by watching YouTube. And in this generation, the newest generation is obviously AI generation. YouTube generation is now old school, is our at our time. So the new generation, I don't know how they're gonna use AI to learn new skills just like yours. That'll be something to
Oh, and
wait and see, right?
I dive deep into that. If I back up 2 years ago, I didn't know how to write a single line of Python.
There you go. Wow.
Today, I have over 250,000 lines of Python written out for
Wow.
business processes that I've built for
Right,
myself,
right,
different workflows.
right, right.
Um, and that's just unbelievable when you think about it.
Yeah.
Uh, and to learn your system structures, to learn how to connect to the different kinds of services like MongoDB or AWS, or how to set up an API with an inference provider or a compute provider, essentially.
Right.
All of that can be taught to you step by step using the AI. There's absolutely no knowledge that's outside of your grasp. You just have to want to
Yeah,
learn. You
exactly.
have to want
Yeah.
to go and dive into those details, and it's pretty
Right.
incredible. Yeah. That's
And this is
actually
a
what
good
led me.
segue. This is a good segue to our next section, which is your career growth and transition. So let me give our audience a little bit overview about our next section, and we'll continue. Uh, Now that we have explored Ahmed's early career, let's delve into his professional evolution. We'll uncover the significant milestones that shaped his path, promotions, job changes, or even transitions to entirely new industries. We'll discover the reasons behind his decisions, the risks he took, and how those choices influenced his career. We'll also explore the essential skills he developed to thrive at each stage and his approach to continuing learning. It's fascinating how unexpected twists and turns in a career journey can often lead to remarkable outcomes. Let's hear how Ahmed navigated these transitions and what he learned along the way. So, Ahmed, what are some of your major milestones or decisions and skills you decided to develop during this course, your journey?
Hmm. So essentially, when OpenAI released their LLM in a way that we can talk to it
Hmm.
in a conversational way, that's when I made the decision to take the leap and start the company I started. One, to solve a pain point. One where, at least in the construction industry, and I'm sure it's the same in all industries so far from what I've seen the past 2 years,
Right,
is you've got tools that cost a lot of money, SaaS products that cost a lot and don't do everything you need them to, and don't integrate easily into your existing environment, existing workflows. And the amount of money you spend planning out new tools that you may want to build for yourself is enormous. So it's not
right,
available to a lot of people. And so that's
right.
why I started Myte Group. One, the access to democratize knowledge gave me the confidence to take that leap. And then two, I knew there was a huge pain point there where companies do want to be in control and not have a black box operating their
Right.
business, essentially. And so that's what Myte Group is. It allowed us to build technology your way, your tech your way, essentially.
Hmm.
And the first things that I did was learn myself to build my own processes. I have to drink my own Kool-Aid. So internally, I built out my sales channels. So I have agents that go out and operate my computer. That OpenAI just announced today, a computer operator, for example.
Yeah,
My first
yeah.
computer operator was a year and a half ago that specifically created a CRM, analyzed profiles, sent initial and follow-up messages, and just generated connections and leads this way. Interactions and conversations to let my network know. I grew a network over the years. And so that was a streamlined way of me writing personalized messages and just
I see.
let them know what I'm doing. And then
Yeah,
every few months, 4 months, 5 months, I would re-go and redo a blast of like, here's what I've been up to and here's what I've been doing. And
I
a
see.
year and a half later, you're starting to see the fruits of that, where people are like, hey, Ahmed, he's the guy that a year and a half ago was doing crazy stuff. And now this sort of looks normal and just the norm today. Maybe we should talk to him because he's from my industry or he was doing this for such a long time,
Right.
at least in terms of being exposed to it. And so I learned a lot with AI. And then the other aspect of it was surrounding yourself with the right people. I had a first client that I took on, and at the same time entered a partnership with a software company. Brilliant people. After interviewing over 60, to give you an idea, where I wanted to find the
Right.
people that had the systems in place that I can quickly learn how things were done and what the life cycle of taking a client's ideas to a deployed solution would be within an organization, within a system.
Right.
And so I spent a few months with them, a couple of months in India, actually,
Oh,
um,
too
learning and
much.
exchanging ideas, my know-how and their know-how. And we had sort of a knowledge transfer of a sort. So I got to learn by providing my free time, not charging for my time and my knowledge, bringing work, and in
Right.
exchange, I wanted to learn. And that way I got hands-on experience
Mm.
um, in the field.
So
For
basically, you volunteered.
basically, I volunteered and
Basically.
also provided, you can say, workflows or code bases, so that in exchange I would get essentially the agreement that was put in place with them. Uh, so, so
Can I
that's how I
probe
started off.
how you got to that point where you got opportunity to volunteer? How did you convince, like, hey, let me volunteer and I'll bring you this? What
Well,
was
the
the
volunteering
story
was
behind
both.
that?
So I had access to resources for free to code out
Right.
solutions for
Right.
internal DevOps workflows,
Right.
and in exchange, I got to share them some code that I had written out,
Okay.
ways of
Okay.
like working with LLMs and building reasoning pipelines
Mm-hmm.
to solve for a problem or to solve for a
I see.
solution.
I see.
And that's how I got to that. Was that process? I built a relationship. I took a plane. I flew to India.
Mm-hmm.
I spent time there. I got to meet the people I worked with, their families, etc.
Right.
So that's sort
So
of how.
did you go to networking events in India, or you networked here and you got to know them?
No, so over here, essentially, what I did is I took up Fiverr or Upwork. I put
I
up
see.
a nice detailed requirement plan for
Mm,
a real estate platform management system I wanted to build for myself at the time.
right.
And through that process, interviewed over 60 plus companies and then picked the
Mm,
one that I said, hey, here's what I've been building.
right.
Um, Maybe there's a way that we can collaborate here. And they said yes to that. And I met with them in
Awesome.
person, flew to India afterwards to meet the team. And then the
Right.
relationship began. And we got to learn from each other for the time that we were together, essentially.
Amazing. So
Yeah.
that's the, I would say, the nugget for this show, is that how you kind of interview, put up yourself out there using a platform, and then you reached out, you interviewed 60 plus. That's not a small deal. That's a big deal. It takes a lot of effort. I myself was interviewing, for the last 4 months, so I know how the struggle. So that's a lot of work and hard work, obviously. And then you kept at it. You had the resilience, you had the persistence, and you have the talent, and you brought, demonstrated work. All together, your hard work, your demonstrated work, your networking capabilities, communication capabilities, all those combined, you ended up with that company where you learned so much. I think that's the nugget that I would like to, um, basically share with our audience here, so that they can take it back and maybe apply if it's at all beneficial. Everyone's case is unique, but I'd really appreciate you sharing that detail. That's an awesome story. Is there anything else in addition to that? How did you end up? How was the result? Like, what kind of
So a
things
lot
you
of it
learned?
is, I mean, it's a new world. A year and a half, like back in June 2023, I started
Hmm.
something that, I mean, you're building the unknown. You're building things that don't exist yet, right?
Right.
It's things that were in your imagination. So
Exactly.
when people were hearing about what I was doing, um, the reactions, you can imagine what the reactions were. Even today, the knowledge gap we have of what these reasoning systems are capable of doing, versus what the reality is, like how
Right.
far this has gotten, like how profound these systems are and how revolutionary they are.
Right.
It's a huge gap. It's a massive gap, and it was even bigger 2 years ago. 2 years
I
ago, when
see.
GPT 4.0 came out, in April, I believe, or February of 2023, the the feeling I got was like, whoa, we've got a brain that we can put into a program and have it decide things for us. And
Right.
if you put that into a system and have, thousands of them talking to each other over a certain problem you want to solve, then you can do so much work, so much more efficiently. And so that led me to build Myte Cody, which is
Right.
it's a reasoning system for creating proposals, roadmaps, and flowcharts. And the reason why I had started with that channel in terms of making it proper was that it was the major pain point I saw, like access to knowledge, being able to visualize what needs to be done, and having someone who can say, I can do it for that price, and here's how long it's going to take, and how much time it's going to take, and how much it's going to cost. Having that kind of visibility at the tip of your fingers, where in a couple of hours, you get that kind of value, is I think incredible. Like and I give it for free, and the only reason is because it's so cheap. Yes, it took time to build, but that's like I see it as my estimating and sales department, and I was in sales and estimates, so we gave a lot of free time to our general contractors to price their
Right.
projects, ideate with them, and get them to a point where we convince them to hire us to do the job. And so to me, it's
Right.
like, that's great, but I don't have all that time. So how do I
Mm,
streamline that process with
right.
my own systems? And that's how my Cody
Wow.
came to be, amongst many other platforms that we have internally for. Yeah, so it's yeah, it's
Very, very interesting. How you ended up. I would say this is some kind of invention. You process invention, or you gap resolution. You did
it's a
close
workflow.
that gap. It's a
Abu,
workflow.
it's a
Yeah,
workflow,
it's
not an invention. I don't see it that way. Like, also the concept
okay.
of IP and everything like that today, we're now streamlining reasoning workflows, but a workflow is a
I see.
workflow.
I see.
So, other people are doing proposals. Other companies will
Hmm.
want to streamline their proposal process. I'm
Hmm.
guaranteeing that I won't be the only one in the world doing what I'm doing now. But
Right.
there's no IP here. It's a workflow. It's my way of delivering you my service. And now with AI, when you see something, especially when something's built with the UI and everything, you can recreate that
Mm,
at the snap of a
awesome.
finger. What used to
Yes.
take months now take weeks and even days.
True.
Um,
True.
some algorithms, what would take years now can take days. Very complex algorithms now, these systems, especially if you're using the state-of-the-art models to
Yes.
do specific tasks, they go far. They go really far,
Far.
and how
Yes.
much they can output. Yeah.
Wow. No, that's very interesting, and I would like to hear more how you keep up with these, new kinds of innovative thoughts, that I have to come up with a new way of working so that it improves the workflow, saves time, increases productivity, right? So save it for our later section. I'd like to move over to our next section, which is deep dive into your current, which you kind of already are, but I wanted to just formally give an overview, and then we can continue a little bit more. So Ahmed's professional journey will be charted by examining the defining moments that shaped his career path, including promotions, job changes, and career transitions. In his case, I can say, there's a lot of transitions that happen, and in the end, he's now the owner of his own company. We will delve into the motivations and obstacles that influence his career choices and discover the skills that he acquired along the way. We will also explore his commitment to continuous learning and development. Ahmed's story will highlight the valuable insights that he gained from navigating unexpected twists and turns in his career. Let's hear how Ahmed navigated these transitions and discover the invaluable insights he gained along the way. So, Ahmed, what's your take on it, specifically your current role as a CEO and founder of Myte Group Inc.? What keeps you awake?
Oh, I see the wave of work that's about to come. I see the amount of greenfield projects, I call them. In construction, we love those projects. It's
Hmm.
there's nothing existing. It's a greenfield, and from there we're building something that we imagine into reality. And the amounts of those projects I see in my mind coming, that wave is huge. And what keeps me up at night is, am I going to be ready to take in that wave, to process in all those requests into a streamlined, data-driven way of delivering
Right,
the product that's being requested? And it's just getting there to be ready for that, essentially, to be ready for and to be ready to provide the service that I'm working towards and streamlining right now with Myte Group.
right.
Um, that's what keeps me up at night. I think everyone's going to realize very soon that
Hmm.
you're going to want to build out and have technology working exactly the way you want it to work. And
Right,
you're going to be able to either go onto SaaS platforms and pay ridiculous amounts of fees and money and not have
right,
control over it and get them to
right,
customize it for you through that, or you're going to build it yourself internally the same way you renovate a kitchen or renovate a bathroom. You'll hire a contractor who's going to pipe through the intelligence into your business and choose whatever
yes,
source of intelligence you want. I call it like
mm,
electricity.
right,
I see OpenAI or Anthropic, Gemini, DeepSeek, Mistral. There are
hmm,
sources of intelligence, and you can
yes,
pick your intelligence or your electricity to power your systems as you choose, whether you
right.
want it locally or on the cloud. And I think that's what's coming, and that's what keeps me up at night right now, to be
Amazing.
ready for that.
I think I totally get you with the new $500 billion investment by our U.S. administration. It's gonna be even exponentially going up, and I would say along with you, I should be also stay awake to see what happens. Um, just another question: while you establish this Myte Group, your company, explaining things to your workflow towards your say clients or stakeholders, during that whole process, was there any obstacles? Was there any moments, pivotal moments that kind of, hey, I did it, or I can't do it. Let me try a different way. If you can share a bit of those stories, I think that would be very helpful for our
Those moments
audience.
of, hey, I did it.
Yes.
Okay, I'll tell you the story of Mike Cody. So back in
Okay.
December 2024,
Right.
2023, sorry, I spent a week in Mexico. The
Yeah.
goal of that week was just to build the backend logic or a basic structure of being able to take thoughts and structure it into a structured output dynamically and
Right.
reliably with no
Right.
hallucinations based on what I'm saying. And after a week, about 12 hours a day, 10 hours a day, I didn't do it, but I saw that it was fully possible. It was like, oh, okay, so this is possible, and this is how it works. This is how you can sort of build out and build out systems around that. And then that just was one leading on to the other. Once I had the confidence of that, I went into building more business logics around different systems, like automatically researching different key topics and bring it out. Now OpenAI offers that directly out of the box with tasks that are out here. You can technically build these automations directly in OpenAI's ChatGPT. And then the more complex workflow, like coding out your solutions directly into repositories automatically, with humans in the loop at every step of the way, but streamlining the scaffolding, streamlining the customized building blocks or customized pieces of different modules, and just going through structuring all of this. How do I organize myself so that I can reuse components? And just every process of this going through with the AI, with humans, and realizing like, oh, okay, so this is possible. Oh, so now this is possible, and that's not too hard to do. I was talking to someone the other day who built a what was it? Not a compression thing. That was someone else. Actually, the guy in the comments here, a shout out to Harsh Kumar. He had shown me a process of him compressing data like 95% down. I think maybe even 99% down. And he built that algorithm over the last 4 years. But it's possible now, like these kinds of complex algorithms, to sort of imagine things and put them into being. So if you can see it, essentially the other wow moment or aha moment that happened is, if I see it in my mind clearly. I'll give you an example. Last week, I was like, I'm working with my devs, and we need to, they said, Ahmed, you need to start doing technical blogs. You need to start talking about the issues we're facing, how we're solving them, and just make it known, like share it. And that becomes content that people can read and consume. I'm like, man, that's a lot of work. So I started to imagine in my head, how am I going to streamline this? I'm like, okay, let me build a knowledge graph of my devs so that they can just speak what's going on. And that gets structured in a database, aggregated together. And let me build now another pipeline that takes all of this, finds out what all the issues were, what the solutions to them were, what are some key takeaways, and building the brain around this. And then using this for creating the blogs. Oh, I'm not done yet, but I am done with just speaking your mind, storing that into the database, timestamps, so we have time awareness of what's happening throughout the day. Like, oh, we started in the morning, and by the night, this was resolved in this way, or this was the aha moment of that day. And just automating that. And then you start imagining how much more you can start automating by leveraging this kind of data, this kind of specific, individualized data. These are all just aha moments. It's every day. Every day you can think of something. Okay, put it this way. AI. Like let's just talk about this for 2 seconds. AI 2 years ago, 3 years ago was fiction. There's not a single human being on this planet Earth, other than the 500 or 200 people at OpenAI and whoever else was interconnected with Google, and the paper that came out in 2017, Attention is All You Need. Not a lot of people, less than 1% of humans around the world could have even imagined or contemplated that AI was a real thing. It's just movies. It's not just real today. It's now the rush of every business, every individual, everyone is using it, whether you like it or not. It's in your Gmail now. It's in your Microsoft now. It's everywhere. It's on your phones. You don't have the choice anymore. You don't even say turn it off. So that's where we're at now. And can you imagine that was just something we were imagining? That was fiction. That was something humans were just
fiction. Totally
completely science fiction. And I've always said, ever since I was a kid, like my mom always told me, whatever you can imagine, you can achieve. Like, that was great. But as I grew older and I saw certain things happening, I started to change that, and I changed it to whatever I can imagine, or whatever you can imagine, has been, is, or will come to be. Anything at all, whether it's two-headed dragons, whether it's ghosts, whatever the human brain can imagine, has been, is, or will come to be. And this AI just proves to me how true that is. Because now with this, what we can do, what we can build is just limitless. The things people are coming up with. If someone can just create an automatic pipeline that analyzes all new YouTube videos that pop up of people demonstrating some crazy stuff that they've just created and aggregates that just is an idea of itself, because people are creating things by the day.
That's true. Yeah.
Inventors and visionaries by the day are creating things that no one even thought was possible just 2 years ago. Can't start listing them, but just these reasoning systems that can do weeks of work in hours. It's not in
Yeah.
seconds. It's not without
That's right.
humans. It's with humans, but it's weeks of work in hours. Just think of that. So what
Yeah.
does that mean?
We can read one page maybe in a minute, or if you're a fast reader, maybe 30 seconds. Within 30 seconds, it can calculate billions of books. So I mean that's fascinating. The aha moment is that the first aha moment. Can you talk about that a little bit? The first aha moment that kind of made you what you are
triggered
right now.
triggered everything with related to that was related to the business was, and that's why I'm loyal to OpenAI in a sense. Others could have done it. Others could have given access to that intelligence to people to speak to, but they
Right.
didn't. OpenAI did. Whether it's they came up with the idea or whether they made the decision to give individuals access to this kind of knowledge, whatever it be, that was my aha moment when I started speaking to it about things I knew I did not know. And then I
Yes.
saw that with that model, I got to learn about things that I knew I did not know, and then see things that I did not know I did not know.
I
And I
see.
was able to go down that vein. I was like, what the? You have the most powerful teacher at the helm of your fingertips. You just have to want
Yeah.
to learn. You just have to
Wow.
want to ask the questions. And that to
Exactly.
me is unbelievable. That was a huge aha moment.
So I
Uh,
guess your curiosity combined with your passion to find something better, that's where it led you to this moment. Um, but what kept that curiosity of yours? I wanted to kind of deep dive over there, maybe in like 30
what keeps it
seconds if you can
alive?
tell us.
It's
Yes.
the
What?
expressions of people's faces. So you have to imagine that when you're talking with people, still today, most people don't, how do you say, believe fully in
Mhm.
how vast most people use it for emails, writing
Right.
jokes, coming up with memes, refining a text message before sending it, or asking your girlfriend out, or whatever the case may be. That's what people are usually are using this still for right now. So when people sit down
Still
with me in a meeting
fundamental,
and I'm on my
basic.
phone or
Mhm.
walking side by side at a networking event, and in those 45 minutes that we're talking together, they have weeks of work that gets sent to their inbox. And just that expression, that whoa, and then they review it and they're like, whoa, this makes sense. Whoa, okay, this is actually like, wow, yeah, there might be some stuff missing. That's not the
Right.
point though. The point is this is an enormous amount of actual usable work that gets done like that. Just that their wow expression of whoa, this is possible, like
It
we
is.
can do this, that keeps me going.
Well
Or
said.
when I'm talking to someone and I show them just ChatGPT, I say, listen, you have a powerful tool at the palm of your hand right now. What I do is I take ChatGPT out of the box, but you have a box right now that you can use that does incredible things, and just going through character generation or
Mhm.
simulations and having
Right.
characters speak to each other on the phone while hiding. Most people don't know you can do that. Most people don't know you can spin up a team of people and have them talk to each other
Yeah.
simulated in a simulated way. So you have perspectives from different lenses around a topic that you're addressing, and
I
just seeing
see.
their expressions when they see that. The
Totally,
kinds of
totally. I'm totally aligned with you, and just to add a little bit of my um, 1 cent, I would say, is that you know how you described there are only 500 people who knew about AI 2 years ago. I think you are hearing about it a lot because we are in a tech bubble now, and you are talking to your like-minded people. But think about all the other people. I don't think it even touched 5% of the population who are actively using it. That 5% I would count only the techies, the tech, the early adapters, people who are in the industry, people who are forced to learn about it because their company is kind of, you know, uh, doing some kind of transformation work. So think about that 5%. If it grows to say 80%, where will that help the humanity to, to leap forward? How much faster we can be, how much more productive we can be, and what kind of inventions that might come forward. Maybe there could be cure for cancer or cure for every other diseases that we know. So that's my one
so
cent, and I just wanted to connect with your thought here.
so the only limitation we have right now is our imagination. It's literally the
Exactly.
only limitation we have now.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
the way I see things is I decided to pick a horse for one. So I
Mm-hmm.
picked OpenAI to build my systems from. I'm model agnostic, but I picked OpenAI from the beginning. And when you asked the question before, how do you keep up to date?
Right.
I tune out the noise. I told myself I can build my tech my way. So whatever I need, I will do. I don't care what's going on out there. I'm building what I need, and then I'm building what my clients need. And
I
I've
see.
picked a horse to pipe that intelligence through. So that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the limitation is your imagination. I picked to stick to cognitive workflows, reasoning systems, but this is vast. Research, there's thousands of verticals you can go down just in the research domain of invention. Just invention, you can spread that out into thousands of branches as well of invention of
Yeah.
what. We don't even, there's a lot of unknown unknowns of what we could be
Unknowns.
inventing.
Yes.
So in my mind, it's every individual now has a capacity to do whatever it is they think they're best at. So the ikigai principle is something that I apply to myself. Um, Essentially, the crossover of the things you believe, three things you believe the world needs, three things you know you're good at, three things you know you can be paid for, and three things you're so passionate for at that you can do for hours and hours and hours and hours. And the intersection of that essentially is your unique way of bringing something to the world, of
Right.
contributing to your network and to your community. And yeah, it's
That,
limitless at that.
that's a powerful message. I hope our audience really looks into it and tries themselves. ChatGPT, Gemini, and all other kinds of AI that are available out there. There's a lot. I want to take this moment to go to our next segment, which is, which Ahmed already began informally. It's about advice for career growth. A lot of people seek out for advice to mentors, to coaches, to propel their career. We'd like to learn how you, Ahmed, how did you propel that? You know, did you have mentors? Did you have coaches? What are the skills and traits that, in order to be successful in this field, how did you acquire it? Maybe if you can give us a little bit of overview on that.
How did I acquire my skills? Throughout my life, I had mentors. My parents, to begin, were my top mentors growing up, and they're in
Right.
business, they're entrepreneurs and involved in many different things. Mentors in work, a few individuals that I could name that guided me through sales, estimating, being able to think in granular
Mhm.
steps. Just older people that had deep experience in the industry, which then translates to a lot of what I do
Right.
afterwards. And then
Right.
in the tech industry, to be very honest, you have a few people in the tech world that I talk with and get advice from, the community that I'm growing, and then the network that I'm building. I get to learn from them. X is a great place for spaces where you can connect with like-minded people and talk about topics that, like you say, a lot of it goes over people's heads, but you've got
Yes.
individuals that are interested in certain things, and in these
Hmm.
spaces you can speak with them. And also AI, like building either your own knowledge graph and going beyond the chatbot of these tools that are available to you, and just sort of building your own personal knowledge graph, your own personal way of interacting with your own mind, with your own knowledge, and expanding upon that, or learning through these systems. You get a lot of paths to go on to start diving deep into different aspects or gaps that you may have. The AI tools are a gap closer.
I see.
They are the like in a way they are great mentors, in a way, in a sense of pure knowledge, of pure
Mm.
experience.
Yes.
The knowledge and experience of the world is in the palm of your hands. So
That was
ask.
my next question for you. Do you think AI is a solid mentor for us? Can we depend on it and we can
Well,
be
I'll answer
successful?
this. There's a reason why $500 billion are being invested in the United States for data centers. It's because we're going to be generating more data probably in the next month than we have in all of human history. And then that will just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We will generate more synthetic knowledge, synthetic data by the day. At one point, we will say that we have generated more knowledge and more data in one day than we have in all of human history combined. And
Exponential. Yeah.
and that needs to be stored somewhere, because every individual will have these systems, and that's why there's so much money being poured into it. So my answer to that question is obviously yes. There's a reason why this much money is being done. And I'll go even further. There's a reason why OpenAI is at the forefront of that. So yes, there are a lot of models out there, millions of models out there, millions. But I always advise the people in my network, start with the best model. It's super cheap. It's not an infomercial for OpenAI, more of a advice to save time and money and get to your outcome quicker. And once your solution is built, once your reasoning systems are built, the data being generated from them, keep it, and then train your own models specifically to those workflows and to those systems at a later point in time. Right now, focus on reclaiming your time. That's the highest investment you can do. Once your time is reclaimed, find a way, then focus on becoming your own model or having your own LLM, let's say, for example, training your own LLM essentially.
You mentioned your parents are your early mentors. Did you have any mentor in this specific field, AI, where you got any kind of coaching or training?
So listen, AI was science fiction 2 years ago. To find the mentors that are capable of navigating this new world, good luck. There are people, but to find them and actually have them sit down in front of you and talk with, I've reached out to Sam Altman. I've reached out to Elon Musk. Are they going to answer me? Probably not. But you're building things that don't exist. And so a new kind of, you can say, programmer is going to exist. This new kind of programmer is going to be the one with deep business sense, with a deep connection to their network and their community, an understanding of the processes that they're trying to build, system thinkers. And these people mixed with AI are going to be creating business logic that seasoned developers are going to take days or weeks to do versus hours for these kinds of programmers. And then the seasoned developers, the legacy developers, will be enhanced and build out the architectures and structures much more quickly than they are now. So the mentors, I've had mentors in the sense in the tech industry to learn best practices, learn system design, flow charts, how we gather requirements, etc. Yes, mentors to see what's to come, that's a little harder to find. And the kinds of system to build, like a mentor to teach me that Myte Cody was a possibility. You know, that's
so the output or the takeaway from this conversation, specific one, is still seek out for mentors. You know, mentors are obviously there, but because of AI, new revolution, new disruption, you become your own mentor.
You are your own mentor. So you have your knowledge in your brain. You have an AI that has a knowledge of the world. You are your own mentor and carving your path and tracing the path that you want to go on in a way. And then surround yourself with the right people to fill in the tiny gaps that are needed at that point. But you can do a lot alone. So I'm alone at Myte Group, by the way. The company is operated by one person. My accounting, my sales, my invoicing, my planning, my estimates, my contract negotiations. And then I have a network of developers that I work with. And then I have a network of resellers that I work with as well. And that's the model I'm going, a distributed peer-to-peer sort of network where the intelligence is just being streamlined in a way to make my service to my clients, to the people I know, the relationships that I've built, as seamless and transparent and cheap as possible. So that's
very, very inspiring. There is a question from your friend, I think, Harsh. Do you think Apple or Google will let an app in their stores which
progressive web
challenges
apps
their
are
AI?
the future? That's why Myte Cody is built as a progressive web app. I'm not on the app stores, and I will not be. So by being a PWA, you have a mobile-friendly experience, a desktop-friendly experience, and a web browser-friendly experience without having to care about the legacy systems that exist right now. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for that question, Harsh. So moving to our next segment, because we're coming close to our end, I put an interesting segment here, which I call it rapid fire Q&A. So I'm just going to ask you a quick question. You answer it with 1 or 2 words, and then we move on. It's very short, 1 minute. Are you ready? Okay.
Yes.
What's the best career advice you'd ever received?
Dream big, start small, begin now.
Awesome. A book or podcast that influenced your career?
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Awesome. Written by who? Is that a book?
Daniel Carnegie.
Okay. One skill everyone should learn?
Programming.
Awesome. A mistake that taught you the most.
Um, a very costly mistake in a bid that I did in the construction industry that led me to become more data driven.
Awesome. So you're never going to do that again. Cool. If you could do one thing differently in your career, what would it be?
Repeat the question.
If you could do one thing differently in your career, what would that be?
And these are not one word answers.
I know this is why this is a fun and rapid fire. So that,
Balance.
okay, cool. Describe your career journey in 3 words.
Roller coaster, which is one.
One word.
Unknown. Exhilarating.
Awesome. Thank you. Ahmed, any final thoughts or words of encouragement?
There's no limit to what we can do today. It really just gets started. Dream big, start small, begin now.
Thanks for sharing that. All right. So before we wrap up, let's recap some of the key takeaways from today's chat. I tried to capture, but we had such a deep conversation. I don't know when I forgot to take notes anymore, but I'm going to rely on my brain. I don't have an AI here. Okay. So Ahmed's early career started by learning from YouTube. He's a civil engineer, and then slowly he got into engineering farms. And in 2023, he volunteered with a company. He traveled to India, volunteered his time for free in exchange of work, and he learned valuable skills such as, let me get that. Learn to code and how to build things from scratch. And then the next his story is history. Right now, he's the owner of Myte Code. He developed his own code there. He had thousands. He have developed thousands of Python codes, which he learned by himself, and used AI as his mentor. No more YouTube. YouTube was earlier, but now as he developed his skill sets, as he learned processes, he looked into his construction business process where he did estimation. He was the director of estimating. Used those knowledge, applied it with AI, and tried to find out a better, faster, more productive workflow that will save in the business and the industry a lot of money. That's another one. And I would say the last one was, continue networking. He used AI to develop things, and mentors are not available out there because this is a new technology now. So his recommendation is to be your own mentor, obviously by using different models, various models out there that are open source. Okay, so I think I recapped a little bit as much as as much as I could do. Ahmed, do you want to add anything? Did I miss anything?
It's fine. It's fine. It was a great conversation, and
Yes,
I appreciate you doing this and
of
and
course,
and
of
and
course,
getting these stories out of individuals. It's a great concept.
of course. Thank you for being here. I want to wrap up. A huge thanks for tuning in to our viewers, to our listeners who tuned in to our show, our story behind a resume. If you want to learn more about our awesome guests or connect with future speakers, make sure to follow us on LinkedIn and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll find the links in the description. And guess what? We're planning even more amazing sessions with folks from tech, marketing, finance, and more, all sharing their career stories and advice. Don't miss out. Hit that follow button on LinkedIn and subscribe to our YouTube channel. At the handle is @ story behind a resume. Love listening on the go. We'll be publishing this session in podcast as well as on Apple and Spotify by tomorrow, hopefully. So keep an eye out for that and follow us on LinkedIn to stay updated on new episodes and releases. And hey, if you are a pro and a cool career story to share, we want to hear from you. So connect with me on LinkedIn and let's chat about featuring you on Story Behind a Resume. Thanks again for joining us. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories that go beyond resume. Keep learning,